I'm here with Christiane Roth from Jewel School. And Christiane, welcome. It's so great to have you. And I can't wait to see how to make these beautiful chainmail bezels that you brought.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm excited to be here.
They're a gorgeous way to set off some natural stones, too.
Exactly. I love natural gemstones, and I love, I don't want to cover them up. So the chainmail bezel actually just gives you that edge.
It's a perfect frame. Yeah, so how do we get started? Tell us a little bit about the rings.
Sure. What I'm actually going to show you today is the half Persian 3-in-1.
Okay.
It's called half Persian because it's half of the full Persian weave, and 3-in-1 means that there's 3 rings going through every one connector ring.
Okay, that's a really good thing to know. And you would normally do it in the smaller size of ring, but of course you have these larger ones to make it easy to see.
Exactly. I want you to be able to see everything that I'm doing nice and clear. So what I have are these large aluminum rings in colors so that you'll be able to see each row separately. So the first thing that I'm going to do is show you how to open and close a jump ring. The wrong way to actually open and close a jump ring would be to pull it apart, and you see that a lot because if you actually do that, then there's no way to get that back into that round shape.
Yeah, you can't get it back, and you need it to be round to create these perfect patterns.
Exactly. So what you would actually do is take one of these rings, and I have the opening facing toward me. I'll place my pliers on this side and on this side so I have the greatest amount of surface supported, and then I just lift up with my right hand.
Easy.
And you end up with an open jump ring.
And I always remind people too to listen for that little click. You can feel it as you're closing it, brushing the ends past.
Exactly.
To close.
When you're closing your jump rings, as you said, just go back, past, back up again, and then settle it down, and that gives you a nice closure, and you know that it actually will work harden your ring so it won't come open as easy.
Makes it more secure. Good. And now why do you have the ring facing toward yourself?
Well, I do it backwards from a lot of people. I actually started making chainmail with armor, which was made from stainless steel, which is a harder metal to work with.
Oh, right. So you need that extra leverage.
Exactly.
And you get in a habit.
Exactly. So it's perfectly fine if you want to turn your ring the other way.
Okay. I didn't know if it made it faster, you know what I mean?
Well, you get in a habit. So if you do everything the same way, then it goes faster.
That's right. You have your assembly line, and I see you have your rings closed and some are open, so you are ready to go.
I am ready to go. So I have all of these open rings, and again, as I said, it's half Persian, 3-in-1. So I take one open connector ring, and I'm going to take 3 closed rings and just string those on like that.
Okay.
Turn it toward me. Again, putting pliers on one side, pliers on the other side. I'm using 2 chain nose pliers, by the way.
Okay.
Some people use bent chain nose. It's just whatever you're comfortable with. So now I have 1 closed ring and 3 closed rings. So now this is the most tricky part. When you actually start with your next step, you have to line these out a certain way because that's the basis for all the pattern. Some people actually discover that it's so hard to start the half Persian weave that they'll keep a little bit of a piece that they finished to build the next one off of.
Oh, what a good idea.
So how you're going to line these up is I'm going to take this green ring, which is my bottom row, and I'm going to flip it to the bottom. Then I've got 1 ring going that way. Well, actually, I'm going to flip these going the other way. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So I turn that one over.
And we'll have a diagram so people can set this up at home.
I actually learned Illustrator, so I can
just for chainmail.
Just for chainmail.
Impressive. That's dedication.
This one is on top. That one slides underneath, and that goes under there.
Okay.
So that's the very first setup, how you get started. The next portion is you take another closed ring and slide it under. So you can see all of my gold rings are facing that direction. It's like they kind of tilt that way. And so I'm going to add a green ring. Now, you can see where these gold rings overlap each other. I think of that little area as an eye. So you're going to go behind that eye over top of the green ring. Just so you know, the yellow rings never go through each other, and the green rings never go through each other. They just go through the opposite, the green that goes through the yellow. So I'm going to go through my yellow, behind that eye.
Oh, and then you're picking up the third.
and I'm picking up the third.
Hence 3 in 1.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, and then I'm going to close it.
Okay.
So, for the first one, it actually gets a little wonky.
Right, but you would do the same
you
thing
line it
again, right? And
Exactly.
Picking up your 3 again. And
Exactly.
then you keep going. How do you determine how long to make your chain?
Well, you actually, once you figure out your cabochon or whatever you want to encase,
Right.
You will actually make your chain, fit it around so that the ends just meet.
Okay.
And that
So-
gets your length.
Okay. So you just measure it by experimenting with whatever you're bezeling.
Exactly. And that way you can tell it works with pear shapes, it works with rectangles, it works with round stones.
Right. Now, does it get really tricky when you're ready to connect these ends together?
That's another tricky point.
Okay.
So I'll show you how to actually connect those.
Okay.
All right. So this is the chain that we were working on. And we'll just bring the ends around, line everything back up.
And you can really see the pattern develop too.
Exactly. As you get further along, everything lines up like so. And I'm using these large rings. With the smaller rings, it will seem to mesh, and there's only one way that it can all lay out, so it makes a lot more sense. So, now that we actually have it laid out, the only thing that we have to do is join 2 more rings to connect the ends. So the first one I'm going to start with is this green one, and I'm going to open it up just like I did before, and then this actually will go through there.
Oh, through the last 2 yellow ones?
Through the last 2 yellow ones.
Okay.
Again, it's kind of around that first eye and through the second. So you can
Alright.
see how that lines up.
Yes.
And then the next step is you'll take this gold ring, which is now on the bottom row because it's facing me, and it's going to join over here.
Okay.
So it makes a continuous loop. Close that up, and you can't even see where you began and ended.
That's right. You can't.
So then I'll show you on something of a more regular scale. And yes, this large cab is a regular scale
is
for
impressive.
me. I love large cabochons.
So pretty.
I've already fitted this piece. You'll turn your cab dome side down,
Okay.
and you would put a little bit of glue or 2-part epoxy on the outside of that, and then slide it on.
All right. And that's going to fasten it. You could attach wire wrapping or a bail to connect
Exactly.
it to your necklace. Well, let's take a look at your necklaces. These are just beautiful, more examples of how to do this chainmail bezel. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Christiane.
much.